You are now listening to TDL on silverandblackpride.com.
This play used to be run with Henry Ruggs, and we got Darren Waller on the choice route, Hunter Renfrow on the shallow. But I want you guys to watch Tyrann Mathieu here, okay?
God, you see the ball is out here. He's breaking on the ball. I think if he got a little closer.
All right, everybody, we are back. It is Taped on Live. It is your favorite podcast, favorite channel, favorite is everything. This week we're going to be something a little different. This week we're going to be doing, wide receiver breakdowns. I got some interviews coming up this week as well. But, we're going to have some special guests. You know what I'm saying? BD's taking his little hiatus, so we're having some special guests. So people come through and break down some players, a different viewpoints that y'all just hearing my same damn voice all the time. But you already know what to do. First is subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit the dislike button if you dislike it. Hit the comment. Leave a comment if you like it. Leave a comment if you don't like it. All right. So today we're covering Jahan Dotson. I got a special guest, man. I got my man Alex Rochelle here. What he's going to do, he played some D2 wide receiver out in Arkansas. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a perspective of, different viewpoint than what I got, man. So, Alex, go ahead and talk about a little bit about yourself, a little about your football background, give him your Twitter account, all that good stuff.
It's all good. It's your boy Alex. Played football for a long time. Started when I was 8, went all the way through college. Went high school in the Bay, JUCO out here as well. So, JUCO product. And then did 2 years in Arkansas. Never thought I'd be there. So I played wide receiver. Still love the game, still love to watch it, and just figured I'd come here and just get a little perspective on it.
Yeah. That's why I brought you in here, man. You played in college. I mean, playing D2 is still a lot of people don't get to play D2, so that's still a bit of a feat. Let me ask you this: what was it like playing in Arkansas? What was it like living out there?
Man, it was different, man. It's a slower lifestyle. You come from California, and then the things they like to do is like we don't really do out here. They like to hunt. They were like huge on hunting. Like I didn't understand how big of a culture that was. And then just being where I was actually at a Christian school, so it was like really in the Bible Belt. And then so it's like a completely different lifestyle. It's a lot slower.
Yeah, that's what's up, though. That's what's up, man. All right, so today we're covering Jahan Dotson, right? And I know I showed you some tape. You watched a little bit of him. Give your initial thoughts on him, maybe some pros and cons, and what's your thoughts on him?
So my thoughts on him, from what I've seen, he looks like a slot receiver in my opinion.
Okay.
Some pros I did like. I like the yak ability.
Okay.
I feel like you can do a lot to mix him in early. You can give him screen routes. You can give him some choice routes, some bubbles, just some things where you can put the ball in his hands quickly, where he can make decisions and get up the field. Yeah. I feel like especially being young, as they get started and getting developed, I feel like that's how you can implement him in your game plan. Yeah. So what I did like the yak ability. In the slot, you'll get a little more room to work around as well, which I feel like will help him. Mm-hmm. So I definitely see him as coming in the slot. The one cons I do have, I feel like with press coverage, he gets rerouted pretty easily. Yeah. Just from what I've seen, I mean, as you know, in the pros too, a lot of the routes are timing. So, if you're getting rerouted and people are pushing you off your route, that messes up the timing with the quarterback. Yeah. So, if you have a 3-step drop, 5-step drop, you're supposed to be throwing off your drop step. If you're getting rerouted, quarterback looks over there, he has to go to another read. So I just feel like him, what's the struggle I see him having is just, especially corners in the pros are going to be stronger than college corners as well. Yeah. So I see, the press coverage being a struggle for him once he does come into the league.
Yeah, I agree. And we talked about it in the last episode. So it's good to hear that perspective from you because, that's what I thought. I thought he's a slot receiver. Until he can prove that he can win outside. And we're going to go over some of that. So let's just get to it. Let's just get to this tape. Get it over with.
Right on.
All right, let's do it. All right. You can see it, right? Pull this up.
Sir.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's start with this first play. We're gonna start with some positivity here, right? We got some route running pros, right? So let's check this out. Check out this first play here. Right, just get router right up there, right at the top. Bring it back a little bit. So what do you see on that one? Like, what do you see from you see the jab step, right? A little bit of good movement.
So I see him. He's coming up on the DB. He's getting in his zone, especially if you want to run a slant. You want to get up on his toes.
Yeah.
So that's how you get some separation.
Yeah.
So he got up on the DB's toes a little bit and gave him a window to get inside.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah. So, yeah, and that's what you kind of see, like, how he's better against off coverage, because I mean that technically is press coverage, but it's not. You know what I mean? Like, dude's not trying to get his hands on him. You know what I mean? Right. So definitely, yeah, you could just see it right there. I mean, where he's way better on off. I really like this route right here. See, you kind of that's where you see the slot receiver right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you kind of see at the top of the route, free release, right? Get a little shake at the top, and he gets a little separation.
Yeah, as you come in, as you see, as he's attacking the DB, if you can get a DB to stop his feet at any point, that's how you win a route. So he attacks him, he comes upfield. The defender doesn't know if he's going in and out. Just that little stutter gets him to stop his feet, and he's able to get open on the corner route.
Yeah,
just that stutter right there gave him some separation.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if from the slot, man, that's where you can maybe get some special plays from him, and we'll get into that press coverage a little later. But you see his ability, man. He's got some little bit of wiggle. I question his speed a little bit, his long speed. Yeah. I question it a little bit, but you see the same thing right there you talked about. All right.
Let's see. The same thing. It looks like DB tries to hit him with a little one-arm stab, but his feet were stopped. If you get him, once you get him where your feet's kind of stopped, that just gives you that window of separation right there, and that's all we needed.
Yeah, and I love his hands, man. We're gonna talk about his hands a little bit later too, a little bit. But just the way he just naturally just snatches the football out of the air, and doesn't lose. Doesn't even just like, yeah, right. Doesn't even think. Like, he's not even thinking about it. You know what I mean? It's not a thought. Yeah, and most of his best press reps were against Michigan. So I want to go back to this one a little bit. Because I didn't want to talk about this one with the corner. You talked about him getting his hands on him, right? And you can see it this time. See, he does get the hand on him, but he's able to push it away. Which, we'll talk about the Ohio State game. He's going to kind of come back to get him a little bit on that one. Let me go back to that one. I did a little quick, but I'm saying with the little swipe arm away. Because I don't know about these Michigan corners, dog. I don't think how nice they were. You know what I mean?
You don't think they were nice?
I don't know. You know what I mean? Just watching him against some other guys. I mean, because he was eating them up. You know what I mean? Like, it was like right here. But that goes back to his hands, man. He's got great hands. Here he is against Wisconsin. I don't know if you've seen this one, but it's a good route right here.
I haven't seen this one.
Yeah. So give me some thoughts on this one.
Right,
against off again.
So he comes up. Yeah, I mean, if you're running the out route, once the DB opens his hips, just get to the open area.
Yeah.
So he's able to, attack him enough vertically if the hips open.
Mm-hmm.
My bad, I clicked out of that. But yeah, if you get him to open his hips where he's retreating, that's just that's pitch and catch at that point.
Yeah, right. That is true.
That's a practice route.
A little jab stuff in there, but I just watching Big Ten guys is kind of funny, man. You always wonder how fast they are. Like, how really fast are you? You know what I mean? Playing these Big Ten, you're running past Michigan, but who? You know what I mean? Like, that's how I always feel about these guys.
Ohio State's the school that really has the speed that competes with the SEC. The Big Ten is always been their kind of drawback is speed and athletes.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so let's talk about him against press. You already mentioned him getting rerouted. We're gonna watch him get rerouted a couple times here. All right, so here it is. I don't know who this guy is, but he basically dominated him all game, and to the point where I was like, man, he definitely can't play outside, at least right away. So let's check this one out. See, there you go, hands right on. Like yeah, where is he even going?
Like, let's see.
Right there, right?
Gets the arm on him.
See, but that guy is stronger than the other corner that he played against Michigan. He just can't rip his arm through, right?
Yeah.
So in these NFL corners, to be stronger, it's just you ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, once they get you like that, he kind of just took him on the ride for the route.
Yeah,
at least. I mean, if you kind of struggle against press, you could diamond release it.
Yeah.
Tack him to the outside a little bit, and then kind of just swipe and get back underneath. You can do like a diamond release.
Yeah. Okay.
But, ideally, if you do get pressed at the line, you still want to get up the field 1 or 2 steps to at least try to get him to respect that you might be going outside where you can come back in. But sometimes too, as a receiver, when you get pressed that bad, it throws off your timing on the route as well.
Yeah,
so it's like when you get pressed real bad, and then you have whatever time you have to run the route, it kind of throws your timing off. And then you'll see people when they get pressed, they'll kind of rush their route after that. So it seems like, man, he got pressed here, which he still could have, if he could have swiped the hand down a little bit, maybe got 1 or 2 steps and then came inside. But then but once you kind of get hit in the chest like that,
it's game over, right?
I mean, basically, quarterbacks looking at another read at that point.
Let me ask you this. So, I mean, kind of here, you kind of see a little bit of a false step. Like, I mean, you see that?
Yeah.
I mean, that might have to be a big deal. Why he's able to get his hands on him quick because he's not getting into that route fast enough in that release too. So.
Or because he didn't really go anywhere with the step. I think maybe if he would have took a little step outside, where then at least it kind of opened the DB up a little bit with his press. But it's like he kind of, if you're gonna be in front of the DB while they're pressing, you got to swipe at least. If you're not gonna make a move where he moves the DB, you just got to swipe the hands.
Okay. Yeah. All right, let's check out this one right here. See, this is what I talk about his long speed, but this is also press too. Let's go back a little bit, right? Same thing. A little bit of a false step into the jump, right? And then, it really doesn't give him, anything really here. And he tries to do the same arm over, and he's not able to get that separation either. So
something like that. I mean, you're already on the numbers, and you're in the middle of the numbers on your start. So you don't have too much space to work with the fade route. So if you're going to take a release where you got to go outside, you got to get back up on your stem. So at least, say if you got back to the middle of the numbers, you give your quarterback a window to throw it on the outside. But if you just go straight to the sideline, it has to be like a perfect throw and a perfect catch. Like, see that? There's not a lot of room for error.
Yeah, 100% right.
Yeah,
you're 100% right.
That's what I kind of notice when he gets pressed on the outside, he doesn't really come back on top of his stem. You got to fight back at least to stay vertical.
Yeah, and you said that's play strength, right? Wouldn't you say that's more about strength a little bit too, because he's 184 and he's playing outside? Would you say that, or? I
mean, maybe. I mean, even if you're not, you might not be that strong. You can. Well, I was a bigger receiver, so I was like 215. So on something like that, I would just lean on the DB because you could lean on to kind of get back vertical. I mean, that's one of those things. If he is going to be, not as strong, you might have to do like a dip. So, you kind of dip where the hands are kind of on your back, and then you can kind of force your way back on top.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Antonio Brown's the same size as him, basically. And Antonio Brown, he figured it out. All right, so this one is the one he gets pushed out of bounds. So this one right here. Like, it's basically the same thing. Look, he just took his ass out of bounds, dog. Like, to me, that's embarrassing as a wide receiver. You get thrown out of bounds like that. And it's kind of just same thing. Right? He can't rip through it, and dude just has full control of him.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, if it gets like that, I feel like you just got to use leverage during. Just try to get low, and then if you can get low, you can kind of, they call it a speed release. So if you get low, and then as they're pressing, you're kind of under the press, and that'll help you get back on your route.
Yeah.
Especially if somebody's stronger than you, then because I've had, you know, DBs that were stronger than me, and if they were like, if I felt they were really strong, I'm just like, he can't touch me.
Mhm.
So, you know, you gotta play with leverage at that point.
Okay. Yeah, that is true. You gotta know who you're playing against too. So
Yeah.
if you know this, you know, 26 is strong, right, and he's controlling you like this outside, then you gotta switch it up. That's a good point.
Or you could, you know, on your release, you could try to see if you could attack it inside. So at least that'll give you some room. If you attack it inside, maybe get him to go inside a little bit, then you could go back on top. But it's like, you know, if they're stronger than you at that point, you got to find a way. Like, I got to find a way to beat the hands.
Yeah, 100%. All right, man. So this is just more about route running, natural stop, and you know, having control of your body. You know, especially just talk about speed and athleticism. Like, he seems super athletic when he's playing against Michigan, but then we watch him like this game against Auburn. And, you know, this guy, he's not worried about his speed, right? You kind of could tell by the kind of way he's backpedaling, right? And then maybe you could talk about this route a little bit. I just, you know, I see too many steps here. It's kind of just a little bit sloppy. The transition is not good. So, what are you seeing on that one?
Let me see it again. You attack. I mean, I just feel like when it's like that, you probably have to be like Crabtree. Because, you know, Crabtree wasn't a burner.
Yeah.
One thing with him is when he sat down, he always came back to the ball. So you got to just get your 1 foot in the ground and just get back to the ball.
Okay.
But, you know, sometimes it's hard when they're off, though, because if they're that far off and you're not really a speed guy, then there's nothing really attacking them to come out of their backpedal. So sometimes, you know, sometimes it's just a hard route to win, because if he's staying, you know, 3-4 yards off and he's not really running, then he can just T-step and then kind of undercut your route.
Okay. Do you feel like too many steps here, though, him coming out of there? Or do you feel like that, I mean, that's all he could do on that type of route? And, like, because let's say, like, a more athletic guy like Garrett Wilson or something, he kind of comes out of this break a little quicker than he does. So do you feel like that's something that he can work on, or that's just all technique, or is that a little bit of athleticism with it?
Yeah, I feel like once he takes a step into his hitch, if he comes back right away, I mean, it's still going to be, I mean, regardless, it's still going to be a pretty close catch.
Yeah.
So he just, you know, if he's here, once he makes his step and he comes kind of directly back and comes inside where he gives the QB a window to throw the ball, you know, he can. I don't think it was a terrible route, but I just think, you know, where the DB was at, it has to be a perfect route. Because if you see him kind of stop, it would have to be basically foot in the turf and you're coming back in the beeline.
Okay. Yeah, because that's what is the transition more for anything. I mean, he didn't transition well out of it.
And especially, you know, NFL DBs, you know, they're going to read that. They're going to look. They're going to be off. They're going to look at the QB's drop and his foot, and his foot in the turf.
Yep. Especially in zone too, because they're not even looking at even really looking at the wide receiver. They're looking at the quarterback. Yeah, they're coming. Right? So I mean, the best thing about Dotson to me though is his hands. So it's more of just some highlight stuff, because like this is one-handed catch here against Auburn.
That's what you can't teach.
Yeah, you can't teach this stuff. You know what I mean? And that's why you'll see most of this stuff is in the slot too. Like this is kind of condensed. He's outside, but like he's one-handed. Yeah, it's easy. It's natural too. He just got natural hands. Like this one here, he just snags it out of the air. Just nasty hands, man. But see, so that's the upside with him, is like if you put him in the slot, I mean, he's reliable. Like he's not a guy who's gonna drop passes. You know, he's really a smart guy too. You know, he really finds a way to find zones. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like that's just a crazy catch. This one.
Yeah, that's nice right there.
You know, like, and it's all hands too. It's not like he's snatching that ball out of the air. So that's kind of like my thing with him, is like when you get him in the slot right there. I mean, that's full extension. That's nice catch. So, you know, let me close this real quick. So yeah, man. So I mean, overall, I mean, I agree with what you said. I mean, at the beginning, you kind of saw that on tape, what you talked about. I mean, he's a slot guy right now. I don't know if you want to take him at 22, though. I mean, do you want to take a slot receiver at 22 that early? I mean, it depends on how his combine looks, too. I mean, he has a bad combine. He might be there in the second, day 3 somewhere, too. So it'll be interesting to see.
You think he runs in the 40? What, 4.5?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking 4.5.
I can see that. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
You don't take a slot guy at 22.
Yeah, right. So that's because it all depends on what he runs. Because if he runs a 4.4 or something like that, he might be able to get his stock back up. But I just don't see that speed. I mean, especially against Auburn. When you played against Auburn, man, it was like they didn't care. They weren't scared. So
yeah. But slot. The good thing about slot guy, you don't really need top end speed as a slot. I mean, Hunter Renfrow is the perfect person. You could use your body, you could use leverage, and you can sell your routes. You can get open all day. Yeah. And for him, you see the traits there. He does have to fine tune some things, but you see the traits there. If you get a little better off the coverage or press coverage, and just especially for people, if he uses leverage a little better, there's the coordinators in the NFL will find a way to get you open.
Yeah, exactly. You
got hands, you got yak ability. Throw some rub routes in there, throw some stacks. There's some RPOs where at least if they're in zone coverage, you get the linebackers to come up a little bit. They'll find a way to get you the ball. Yeah,
for sure. And I think if you bring him in as a slot, I think the Raiders need another one with how they run this. McDaniels he loves to do the 4 wide receivers, so they need another guy like that. So I'm not totally against them taking Dotson and then maybe expecting him to kind of take that next leap later on, because right away I know he could play in the slot day one. I know he's a slot receiver and he'd be good there day one. It's more, do you want to, if you take him at 22, you're expecting him to become a wide receiver 1 outside, and that's the question that I have. It's like, can maybe he can. But you'd rather take him with a value where where you can get the most out of your, out of your buck, early on. So, in my opinion. But
so value-wise, where do you see him at then? It's not right just now, Raiders, just overall.
Overall, right now, I see him as a second round pick.
Second round
pick. I wouldn't take him in the first round right now. You just and to be honest, man, I don't see that many first round perfect bet wide receivers that are in. I mean, none of them really can beat press except Burks. So, and Burks is gonna run. I don't even know what he's gonna run. That dude is freak. So I don't know what he's gonna do. But like Garrett Wilson, he struggles against press a little bit, but he's not against press. He's Odell Beckham. And then, but against press, he's Van Jefferson. So you know what I mean? It's hard to kind of judge and gauge where some of these guys are gonna be. You're kind of projecting with a lot of wide receivers. There's no Jamar Chase. You know what I mean? So
right.
It's gonna be interesting to see what they do, though. But I appreciate you coming on. Yeah. Keep going. Go ahead, man. Finish your thought.
No, I definitely see. If he goes to the right place, I definitely see I could be utilized. It might be a little bit of a adjustment. Especially with receivers, it's ability in the NFL, but a lot of it too is being able to read the coverage and know to be in the right place. That's another thing as well. But if you can read coverage and zone coverage and everything, you can find a way to get open, because it's not always going to be, how many corners in the NFL could play are deep, or coordinators call press man all the time. Yeah,
that's true. You're right. So and that's one thing Dotson does do well, is he finds zones. I mean, he's good. That's what I said. He does do that well. So you are right there. That is true. All right. But like I said, man, I appreciate you coming on. I mean, that was awesome. I mean, you kind of gave us different perspectives that I wouldn't even looked at. So I really appreciate that, man. Just kind of having that voice of somebody else. So and if you want to do this again, we can. That'd be awesome, bro.
It's all good. It's good. Yeah. I can talk a little bit of football,
I know, right? So, but yeah. So to the listeners, hope you guys appreciate this. Like I said, subscribe. I have that up there, but make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you go to manscaped.com, 20% off plus free shipping. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter at @MarkJohnNFL. Go ahead, Alex. Give me your Twitter.
So Al LaFleur, AL_LaFleur. All
right. So like I said, one more time, guys, subscribe. appreciate you guys listening. Check us out later.
All right, right on.
All right, cool. It's recording first. There we go. All right, dog. All right, man. That was good, dog. I appreciate that, man. I was like.